Hello Sagittarius and welcome. This reading is going to look at the overall themes of 2026 using tarot and the astrological houses as a framework. And rather than giving or showing month by month or focusing on exact dates, this is more of a big picture tarot-led overview of how different areas of your life may be activated throughout the year. So I'm going to pull first a overall theme card that's going to be from the White Light Oracle, just to set the spiritual tone of 2026, and then one tarot card for each of the 12 houses to really represent the main energies influencing each life area, okay? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Really approach this reading just as guidance and to give you some perspective rather than a fixed prediction, okay? So we are gonna start now with a overall theme card. Let's see. Overall theme card for Sagittarius. Okay. We have Ains of Aur, number 22. We are gonna get to it. And now we are going to use the old style tarot for to check the energies of each of the houses. So for the first house, which card for the first house? For the 2026 Sagittarius first house, can I have one card? Okay. Okay. Second house for 2026 Sagittarius. Nice. Third house, we have the moon. Okay, fourth house for 2026. Okay, fifth house for Sagittarius. We've got the King of Cups with the Emperor, okay. Sixth house for Sagittarius in 2026. The Wheel of Fortune. Seventh house. The Hermit. I'm gonna put it like this so I know it's not reversed. Eighth house for Sagittarius. Eighth house for Sagittarius. Okay, I will keep them all. We have the Queen of Cups reversed, Strength reversed, and the Seven of Cups. Ninth house for Sagittarius. Ace of Cups reversed. 10th house for Sagittarius. down, up, okay. 11th house. 11th house, the 3 of Swords and the 8 of Swords. Okay, and finally the 12th house. We have the 9 of Swords, the Knight of Cups reversed, and the 6 of Swords reversed. Okay, so if you're wondering why I started with Sagittarius, it's because not only are we in Sagittarius season, but I'm a Sagittarius, so I thought great sign to start with. Okay, I'm gonna reflect on all these a little bit and we'll start right away. So, Ains of Aur is the first and truest light. I'm just going to read the first part of the oracle so that you understand what it is about. And it says, a way through the struggle has already been created for you, and you are being led onto that path. Your authentic soul path may include recognition and acclaim, notable success and admiration. Be grateful, but do not be dazzled or distracted by such experiences. Focus on what connects you to your heart and grounds you in the simplicity of spiritual truth, which is the practice of love, kindness, and peace. This will allow for successful progress in the material world without disturbing the sanctity of your soul. And the oracle, it goes on talking about receptivity over control, ego versus spirit or true light as a key theme, how growth comes through struggle, not around it, how important it is to focus on solutions. We as Sagittarius, maybe we can try and figure things out intellectually, right, or philosophically, rather than just being open for other ways of our needs being met, right? It's about trusting and being open and humble, and understanding that sometimes simplicity is also a way of moving forward, of unlocking progress. Like, we might tend to do more and more and more, but that's not always the best option. And it does seem overall that this year, 2026, it seems like a year where the path forward doesn't come from force or overthinking, but from openness and trusting. And trust. So even if things feel unclear at times, the way through already exists, and that's enough for us to move on. Let's start now with the oracle part, house by house. So, I would like to point out that we have 7 major arcana cards. We have the Magician, the Moon, the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune, the Hermit, Strength reversed, and the Tower. And they fall essentially on odd number houses. Not all, but mainly. And these houses, they are related to personal, inner, initiating energies, right? They deal with identity, mind, creativity, relationships, beliefs, future vision. So this shows overall that the biggest shifts in 2026 are internal and personal first, not acted by external circumstances alone. Okay. Again, this falls very much in line with the main message from the oracle, which is inner alignment leading to outer change, consciousness before the outcome, right? So I think that having this in mind, it will be easier to check house by house. So house number 1, which represents your identity, personal presence, and the way you approach life. It shows how you express yourself, right? Your confidence, your initiative for the year of 2026. And we have the Magician, which traditionally embodies personal power, creativity, being able to manifest our skills, right? It's about using our skills, our tools, the knowledge we have acquired, our abilities to consciously shape our reality. So here we can see that we are beginning the year by reclaiming our personal power. We are learning that our actions and our choices, they have a significant impact. But we have to remain aligned with our inner truth, with our inner light. We can see it's going to be a year of initiative and conscious creation, especially in areas where we have been feeling stuck or unsure. And we are being encouraged to be receptive of what's presented to us and to trust it as well, because the magician's power is greatest when it flows with universal guidance rather than when it tries to force the outcome that it wants in a certain way, right? Then we have for the second house, which is the house that governs money, material possessions, self-worth, values, that shows how we feel secure and how we measure our own personal value, right? And in this house, we have the King of Pentacles representing stability, mastery of material resources, responsibility, reliability, being grounded in our 3D world. It's a card that signals practical wisdom, successful management of finances and resources. So in 2026, we might find or we might finally find financial stability or the means to build it, right? We are likely to approach money and values with maturity and foresight. We will act on this area with grounded and a mature decision-making approach. It's about practical action that it's aligned with long-term goals, basically. And we are also being called that to pay attention to the fact that opportunities for security will appear to us, but they will require patience and integrity, not control or greed. So not so much on the ego side of how much can we get, but more on the spirit side of how much do I allow in, how much do I let flow into my life. And this brings us to house number 3. And the third house, it rules thought processes, communication, short journeys, learning, our immediate environment, right? Siblings, neighbors. And here we have the Moon card, which it's all about intuition, hidden truths, uncertainty, and emotional influence on the mind. And this can show some confusion or the need to trust your instinct over your logic. So here we are invited to navigate uncertainty in communication or thought. Perhaps there will be situations where information will be clear or we won't have all the data in order to get a clear answer. So we will be required to trust our intuition. And the Moon, it asks us to notice the subtle cues and to be patient with ourselves while clarity doesn't kick in. We are being called to allow space for creative solutions to emerge naturally instead of forcing the understanding. We are being called to allow knowledge to flow and to come up at the right moment, and to trust that that was the right moment to learn about something, rather than forcing and investigating and trying to understand the cause of it. Then for house number 4, the 4th house, we have themes such as home, life, family, emotional foundations, and our sense of inner security, right? It shows how we relate to our roots and our private life. And here we got the 8 of Cups. And the 8 of Cups, it's a card that indicates leaving behind what no longer serves us. It's about emotional release and seeking deeper fulfillment. So a card such as 8 of Cups in the 4th house, it could indicate that we may experience emotional departures or changes in the home family environment in 2026. So perhaps we will feel the need to let go of old emotional attachments or patterns. Perhaps we will feel the need to move out, or if we still live with our family, perhaps we will feel the need to create our own patterns, routines, rather than just perpetuating what was taught to us. This is about choosing growth over the comfort of staying where it's cozy and nice. And connected to the Oracle card, it shows that even difficult emotional endings, they are part of a path that leads us to alignment. As it says on the Oracle, it's about recognizing that there is a problem, yet not to dwell on it, not to evoke toxic mind games because of it, not to get into dynamics of blame and shame, but rather to focus on solutions. It's understanding how genuine spiritual connection helps us outgrow our problems, right? And that we can see quite easily on a house such as the 4th house, which deals with our home life, our family, our emotional foundations, which is sometimes it's easier to act from a place of ego and to just blame the other person, rather than taking matters into our own hands and decide, okay, maybe it happened this way, maybe it was this way, maybe it shaped me to be this way, but now that I'm aware of, now that I'm conscious of, it's up to me to break the pattern and decide to do things in a different way. Otherwise, we are just keeping ourselves locked in the same pattern, right? It's about acknowledgement as the beginning of healing. And when something isn't quite right, to be humble enough to admit it and to be strong enough to start the change, basically. Even if it is a quiet revolution of, okay, me in my corner, I'm gonna start thinking this way, I'm gonna start acting this way. Hope it's making sense so far. And then we have the 5th house, which is all about creativity, pleasure, romance, self-expression, playing, joy. Basically shows where we find pleasure and passion in our lives. And here we have a funny combination, which is the Emperor and the King of Cups. And the Emperor, it represents structure and authority and discipline and responsible leadership. And the King of Cups representing emotional maturity, balance, compassionate leadership, right? So in 2026, everything that has to do with creativity and romance, it may require both structure and emotional intelligence, right? Both of them. And so we are learning to balance this leadership with emotional sensitivity, whether in personal projects or relationships, however this will actualize in your life. But it will be about bringing the balance of these two forces together to maximize its impact, basically. And together with the oracle card, it shows that joy and creative expression and authenticity, they thrive when they are aligned with your inner truth, with your receptivity, rather than being forced again or driven by ego, right? It's about being in the state of flow and allowing these ideas, these feelings to come to you, basically. It's very much about being receptive rather than forcing the idea. Okay, and then we have the sixth house. Sorry. Then we have the sixth house, which is related to work, health, daily routines, and your health, your work habits. And basically here we got the Wheel of Fortune, which signifies cycles, change, unexpected events, and karma. So of course you have to adapt this to your own life, but it seems that routines or work life might shift unexpectedly in 2026, and adaptability and flexibility, they will be key when this happens. Understanding that situations that feel disruptive, they are part of a larger reorganization, and that they are actually aligning you with your authentic path, right? It's about releasing control and trusting the process that is unfolding in front of you, knowing that it's actually leading you somewhere where it is worth going, right? And if something happens that actually disrupts your routine, your daily life, your work dynamic, try to see what's the main lesson that you are being taught with that. Is it to trust? Is it to let go of control? Is it for your ego to be humbled? Try to see the lesson in that, which is not always easy, because when that happens, then we become preoccupied with the very 3D part of our stability, right? Which is absolutely normal. But try to take a step back, take a deep breath, and try to see things from a macro level. Okay, we continue now for the house, seventh house, where we have the Hermit card. And this house, it's all about committed partnerships, one-on-one relationships, contracts. And the Hermit, it's more about solitude, introspection, careful consideration. So perhaps we are going to experience a period of reflection in relationships. Solitude or emotional distance can actually provide clarity about our needs and our boundaries, about what it is that we actually want in a relationship. Is the relationship we are in a reflection of our authentic selves? Or is it something that no longer fits with who we are at the moment? Perhaps we need to go through this self-analytical and introspection process in order to understand what makes sense to us, what do we want to build this year. And then on the 8th house, which is transformation and intimacy and shared resources, we have Strength reversed, Queen of Cups reversed, and the 7 of Cups. So this touches topics, themes such as the lack of inner courage, imbalance, resistance, emotional overwhelm, mismanagement, confusion, illusions. So these might be spilling over to your relationship area, for example, but not only. And this may feel overwhelming or confusing in 2026. It's as if old emotional patterns are surfacing and requiring honesty and courage. It's about learning to navigate complex feelings and release illusions. Perhaps it has to do with themes that we bring from our childhood, that we are realizing that in order for us to grow, we have to leave them behind. We have to analyze and ponder and decide who we want to be, what kind of mindset we want to have. And that is scary. Of course it's scary, right? And it might be easy to doubt if we can do it, but in the end it is what's going to bring us towards growth, right? It is about accepting that consciousness that is revealing ourselves, it is revealing to ourselves, it is revealing to us, sorry, what the next level is all about. What are the inner shifts that need to happen in order for us to then flourish, basically. It's about allowing for receptivity to bring clarity, to embrace clarity, even during emotional storms, right? And this brings us to house number 9, the 9th house, which is about higher learning, expansion, the beliefs we hold, spirituality, philosophy, long journeys as well. And here we have the Ace of Cups reversed, showing blocked emotional fulfillment or difficulty assessing inspiration or joy, right? And we've seen that one of the keys to assess this creativity, this inspiration, this joy is by finding this balance between structure but also compassionate leadership. So perhaps we come from a household where things were too structured and there was no place for being playful or joy, or everything was very much strict, let's say, counted, right? And now you have to bring this compassionate side to yourself, and you have to find the balance, and you have to leave behind something that was a bit more barren, let's say. And you might be feeling temporarily blocked in your faith, in your belief systems, and that can be also because you are redefining your inner structure, your inner foundation, your mindsets, your mental patterns, right? If all of this is being redefined, if you are in a moment of introspection and you are trying to understand who you want to be, and you are trying to allow throughout this whole storm, trying to allow clarity to reach you and to bring you the information, the vision of who you want to be, then it's normal that you feel that your belief systems are temporarily blocked because it's a void phase, right? What's important here is to understand that it's a reset rather than a permanent loss. It's through this process to trust and to be open and to allow authentic spiritual connection to emerge naturally, to bring you this higher learning about yourself, about your soul mission, about your path, about who you can be at your fullest potential. And then we have the 10th house, and it deals with your career, your public reputation, long-term goals, authority. And we have the Tower card, which it's probably one of the most famous cards in the tarot, and it's all about sudden change, upheaval, revelation, but that is happening exactly to bring you out of your comfort zone so that you can evolve, so that you can move forward, right? Um, so I do think that you should expect significant shifts in your career or public life. Structures that are misaligned fall away, creating opportunities for a more authentic trajectory, right? And I know we have the tendency to see the Tower House as something bad, but for example, let's take the example of your career, right? You might think, okay, I'm getting fired, but is it really? Could it be that suddenly you receive a promotion for a great job, but it happens to be on the other side of the world? It's still something great, and you still have your free will to say yes or no, right? But it's still a major event that is kicking you out of your comfort zone. And on Oracle, one of the things that was mentioned is how unexpected changes are often the path to deeper alignment. So when the change comes, embrace it at the best of your abilities, basically, because it's a stepping stone on your own evolution. Learning how to be adaptable, trying not to control things, being flexible, accepting as things flow into your life, basically. And here we have career and we have work life, both showing changes coming. So I think this will be one of the major, and they are both with major arcana. This is going to be one of the major topics in your life, together with your change of mindsets, right? So this ego versus spirit that I mentioned in the beginning, this receptivity rather than forcing things to happen, is going to be a major key, a major turning point for you in 2026. And this brings us to the 11th house with the 3 of Swords and the 8 of Swords. And this house covers friendship, social networks, and visions for the future, right? And here we have cards which are more about heartbreak, disappointment, loss, feeling trapped, feeling limited from a mental point of view. So perhaps in 2026 we are going to experience disappointments or restrictive patterns when it comes to our social life or long-term plans. And we are being called to release these limiting beliefs about others and the future. Perhaps we like to stay cozy at home in our in our safe environment, and we are being asked to not to force, but to put a bit more ourselves out there, to meet new people, right? Rather than keep on this more homebody dynamic. That in itself could be a fixed mental pattern that we might have to overcome. It does not mean specifically that we will have a great disappointment from one of our friends, right? Of course it can happen anytime to anyone, but just trying to minimize the meaning of it. What I mean here is this is less about specific actions. It's more about reassessing who or what aligns with your authentic future, basically. And sometimes when we outgrow ourselves, the people and the circumstances surrounding us are also outgrown by default. You know what I mean? So this is about releasing mental patterns that might keep us tied to group expectations. It's about recognizing and realizing that not all collective visions will support our growth, and that's okay. It's about learning discernment in the end, even if we are in a group, in a community, in a certain network circle. It's discerning what's best for us, if it makes sense. It's allowing space within the group for authentic and heart-centered for a authentic and heart-centered attitude, light, emanation, like for us to be ourselves independent of the dynamic of the group we are in. Okay, and lastly we have the 12th house, and the 12th house, it governs subconscious, inner healing, endings, spiritual growth. And we have the 6 of Swords reversed, we have the Knight of Cups reversed, and we have the 9 of Swords. And these cards, they speak about resistance to moving forward, emotional confusion, and or misdirected energy, right? It's anxiety, it's mental anguish. So it shows how much deep inner work is needed in 2026. When anxiety or emotional fatigue surfaces, it's not about forcing us to keep on going to reach whatever deadline. It's about bringing in rest, reflection, self-compassion. It's about encouraging ourselves to surrender to this higher guidance and to be patient within this healing process. It's about allowing our inner needs to shine through and allow them to be met, instead of forcing ourselves to meet them in a certain way because we think it should be this way, or this is exactly what will finally help me. No, just allow it to be met. If now you need to rest, then now that's the priority and you need to rest. On the oracle, there's a good ending line which says, as you open yourself to what is, even the unexpectedly difficult twists of fate, you will become ever closer to the radiant grace and luminous clarity which is reassuring you, healing you, guiding you, and loving you. So it is about having the courage to trust, to let go, and instead to just be receptive, to work on your inner self so that it can then reflect on your outer self. So overall, there are some themes that we see and that connect some of the houses. For example, we have personal power and identity with career and purpose. So this shows us that it's going to be inner agency that will lead to external shifts, right? Whatever you cultivate inwards, it's going to ripple outwards. We also have the 4th and 8th house, which show the importance of releasing old emotional structures, right? Because this will lead you to deeper emotional mastery, let's say. We also have relationships and social perception, which would be the 7th house and the 11th house. And this is about clarity, about partnerships, which then extends to clarity in larger social circles, clarity in your life vision as well. It's rethinking community, it's rethinking your connections, your future goals. We also have mental processing and internal reflection, so that would be seen on the 3rd house and the 12th house. How this mental and emotional process is ever evolving. It's continuous, right? It's how inner clarity that comes when you are ready to receive it and when you allow yourself to receive it, supports outer manifestation, right? We also see on the 5th and the 9th house, creativity and emotional balance. So it's about understanding how creative energy depends on your emotional alignment and on your trusting and on your faith in order to shine, basically. So if we take a step back and we look at the spread as a whole, we can see how different areas of your life are connecting, right? And oh no, my video cut. My phone ran out of battery, basically. I'm so sorry. But in the end, but anyway, we are near the end of the reading. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for this Sagittarius 2026 reading. I wish us all the best luck possible. We are going to need it, but I'm sure we're gonna make out of it a great year, because in the end it's how we react to the things that happen to us that define how our year will be, not cards, not the energy around. Is in the end is really how we react to it. So overall, most I can say is this year it does invite to some deep inner growth, to invite in emotional clarity, for us to learn how to consciously create. There will be many endings and shifts and challenges, but they are only preparing us to step forward, right? To show us a more authentic path. So let's trust our guidance, our intuition. Let's stay receptive and act from our heart. And let's remember above all that the path forward, it already exists. Even if it's not fully visible yet, we are just being realigned and redirected to it, basically. So Sagittarius, May 2026 bring you alignment and clarity and the courage to move forward. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye, have a great year.